Good morning or good afternoon. This video is to take you through the syllabus for MGF 1106, which is Topics in Mathematics, a dual enrollment course offered in conjunction with FSCJ. This syllabus for this class is tentative and will depend greatly on FSCJ requirements for Canvas and Lumen Ohm. Those are two of the platforms that are used with FSCJ, and at the time of this recording during pre-planning, I do not have access to Canvas or the online syllabus builder for the professors, and students will not have access to Canvas for at least another month. So everything that you see in this is considered tentative until further notice. There are a lot of things that could change, but I do want to take you through some of the basics of what this class will be like. This is a screenshot from the hard copy of the syllabus. I am going to try to have this printed off for you so you at least have something in hard copy. If you're taking this course through Duval Homeroom, then I will upload a file to the team's website so that you can access it there. This is a dual enrollment course. So one of the important things to know about this is that you are getting high school credit for it, and you will also get college credit for it pending successful completion of the course. The grade that you get will go on your high school transcript, and more importantly, it will go on your college transcript as well. So if you do poorly in the class, if you get below a C, it can affect future financial aid. So it's very important that you take this class seriously. It is run like a college course. This is Topics in College Mathematics. I love this class. I think it's a lot of fun. You do not need to be an expert in algebra in order to be very successful in this course. There are a couple of units and lessons that will cover topics from geometry and from algebra, but for the most part, this course covers things that you have not seen in your high school math classes. So it's very different. It gives me a break. I teach a lot of algebra. So it gives me a break from some of the algebra and gives me a chance to do some things that I think are maybe more interesting or more fun. So on this, you see the instructor information. My office hours, I decided to keep them Mondays from 2 to 3, and by appointment. Office hours will be done virtually through Teams conferencing, just kind of like open room tutoring. And you can do that by appointment as well. Just let me know that you need to meet and we can work something out. Office location, for those of you that are doing the hybrid, is my classroom, which is room 506. The phone number listed does go directly to my school voicemail. That is my Duval email. Please email my Duval email. Please do not email my FSCJ email. At the time of this recording, I'm completely locked out of everything for FSCJ and have been tangling with their help desk. So if you need to get a hold of me, please email me at Duval. There are 2 Remind set up for this class, one for period 4 and one for period 5. I think most of you are familiar with Remind. You're going to text that code, including the @ symbol, to 81010 or the 904 number that you see there on the syllabus. And class day and time, I just put various. If you're doing this through Duval Homeroom, we do meet every day virtually. If you're doing this hybrid, then we will be on campus 2 days and virtual 3 days. You can expect a response from me within 24 to 48 hours, usually faster than that, especially if you're contacting me through Remind. Just remember that I don't check voicemail over the weekend, and I'm not obligated to check email either, although I often do. The course is offered at Atlantic Coast High School in conjunction with FSCJ, and I did have a longer list of the course description. Major topics in this course are sets, logic, geometry, combinatorics, which is kind of counting theory, like how you count and combine things, probability, descriptive statistics, and we do a short amount of the history of mathematics as we get towards the end of the class. Usually this class is offered in the spring, and so we run into seniors being done and graduation, and the wheels often come off at the end, but we are offering it in the fall this year, so we should have more consistency as we head through the statistics and the history of math at the end of the course. Important dates. I actually do not have all these dates. So typically I would have them before I put my syllabus together, and they have not released those. So class begins on 8/20 and will end on 12/17. That is also tentative because Duval has not at this point updated their calendar with the adjustments for COVID-19. So as of when I typed this, first semester ends on December 17th. There are two other dates that are super, super important for a college class. One is the drop deadline. The drop deadline is the deadline for you to drop out of this course with no consequences whatsoever. So if we get 2 or 3 class periods in, you decide this isn't the class you wanted college algebra, you'd like to do something else, you don't want to do dual enrollment, that is the deadline for being able to drop the class. Your transcript will be free and clear of anything. The withdrawal deadline is later. Typically, this is sometime in November. And that's the deadline for pulling out of the class so that you do not get an F or a D. If it looks like you're heading towards an F or a D, you don't want the F or the D on your college transcript, you can still withdraw. At that point, though, it will still show on your college transcript that you have attempted the class. It will show up with a W, and that can affect future enrollment in courses, specifically dual enrollment courses. So if you are a junior taking this class and you're hoping to take more dual enrollment classes next year, you want to be a little bit wary of that W. But if we get towards the middle of the course and you know it's not coming together for you, you want to keep your eye on that deadline. As of when I typed this, FSCJ had not given us those deadlines. So I will make sure that I get that information to you as soon as I have it. Instructional materials and equipment, also subject to change. Like literally everything subject to change. So there is a textbook for this class. It's Thinking Mathematically by a Blitzer. I have copies of that in my room. I'm not sure we have copies for everyone. I'm also not sure that we will be allowed to use that once we're into what's called Lumen Ohm. We might be required to use that instead of a hard copy of a textbook. If you're doing this through Duval Homeroom, I have requested that you have a copy of that at home to be able to access the assignments. And again, I'm not sure how long we'll be in that textbook. If you drop the class, give your textbook back. Don't keep it. Every year I have to chase people down for textbooks. So please make sure that if you do decide to drop the class, that you return the textbook. You also need a graphing calculator for this class, or something comparable to it. I think you can probably get away with just a scientific for this. In fact, some of the units that we cover, you won't be even dealing with numbers at all. But when we're doing the geometry, particularly some of the trig, you will want a calculator for that. If you have questions about whether or not you have the right calculator, please let me know. You will need reliable and consistent computer and internet access for this course, particularly since even if you're doing hybrid, we are going to be virtual 3 days a week. So having that computer access is essential. You should have access to email and the website. The course will be using something called Lumen Ohm, which is kind of like Math Excel. It is a platform adopted by FSCJ. I did a training on it earlier today on the day that I'm recording this, and I'm going to give you some information about that on the last slide. I honestly don't know how that's going to work, and I am brand new to using Lumen Ohm, so you will need to have access to that as well. Course grade. Also subject to change. This is how I have always done it, and whether or not it changes is going to depend on Lumen and the template in Lumen, whether I have the latitude to change that. But typically I have had 4 tests in my dual enrollment classes. Each test is worth 200 points. You have homework. The homework all together over the entire course amounts to 300 points. And then we have some class activities that amount to another 100, and your final exam is worth 300 points. So the total points possible in this course is 1,500. And if you're angling for a specific letter grade, you can see where on that spectrum you would need to be. So if you're looking to get a B, you need to have at least 1,200 out of the 1,500 points. Usually the way this breaks down is that tests 1 and 2 are on first quarter, tests 3 and 4 are on second quarter, and the final gets inputted separately. That does change. So more recently I've had to put the final into the fourth quarter grade, or sorry, I'm still in last spring, so I guess it would be the second quarter grade, and it's to make the Duval grade match your FSCJ grade. So I'll give you more information about that, but that's typically how the points are distributed, and I'm going to try my hardest to stick with that unless I'm forced to change the template from FSCJ. Calendar. Subject to change. This is, again, all tentative, but what you have there is how the class has been run. Those dates, all subject to change. If we have a hurricane, if we go fully online, if we have delays getting you guys access into Canvas and that sort of thing, all of this can change. So use the dates on here as some kind of an estimate. Your test will be when I tell you you have a test, and I won't surprise you with it. I will give you plenty of heads up when we're going to have a test, and you'll be able to see it coming, because if you follow along with this, you know that when we get to measuring geometric figures, that's the last thing that you have before a test. So first unit, typically reasoning, set operations, Venn diagrams, applications and infinite sets, and then we do some geometry. It's all stuff you've had before, but it usually for most students is a little bit old. My favorite unit in the course is logic. We won't be dealing with any numbers in that unit. We will be dealing with all trues and falses and work through a unit on logic. Then we have combinatorics and probability, permutations and combinations. They sound complicated. They're not complicated at all. It's basically how we count large quantities of things. Then we'll do a unit on probability that does overlap what you covered in Algebra 2. For some of you, that would be very recent, like last May. For others of you, it's been a while. It's been like years since you've been in Algebra 2, and so it'll be a little bit staler. And then the course ends with some elementary statistics. Also a lot of fun. We'll do a lot with data representation in that. And then we end with the history of math. Review and final exam will happen as late as I can schedule it before the end of the semester. And of course, a lot can happen between now and then. So you get an idea of how those tests are going to be spread out through the course. They are roughly evenly spaced. I think because of the late start due to COVID, we might have just 1 test on the first quarter and then 3 tests on the second quarter. That happened once before the year of Hurricane Irma. I think I ended up having to shift stuff, and there's nothing we can do about that. It won't affect the overall course at all. All right, last slide here is Lumen Ohm. You've heard me mention this a couple times, and it's been in the PowerPoint before. Lumen Ohm is the learning platform adopted by FSCJ for all math classes, and it is required that we use it. So I don't have the option of saying we're not going to use Lumen Ohm. It is very much like Math Excel. So if you've done work on Math Excel before, then it's a similar platform to that. It includes a template for this course, which may necessitate a change in topics and pace, hence why the syllabus schedule is all tentative. If and when something updates, I will make sure I do another one of these slideshows and provide you with a copy of everything that changes. Most FSCJ students will access Lumen Ohm via Canvas. Canvas is the FSCJ equivalent of Focus, and you will see your grades both in Focus and in Canvas, and again, that's a requirement. But dual enrollment students will not have access to Canvas until almost halfway through the course. You need to fill out your paperwork for the dual enrollment class. That paperwork has to be vetted by Dr. Smith, and then it has to go through all these channels before they can get you into Canvas, which typically takes about 6 weeks for that entire process to happen. Until then, you can't get into Canvas, and so you can't access Lumen Ohm. The training I did today said that I may be able to set up students without going through Canvas, which I'd almost prefer to do because I actually don't want those two programs to sync together, but I will need your help to figure this out. Life is an adventure. We are all going to figure this out, and probably a whole bunch of stuff is going to go wrong, and we will just get through it. Please don't panic. I am not the teacher that's out to get you by having something go wrong and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of zeros in the grade book. I will make sure that you have ample opportunity to make up anything that's missed or provide an alternate way for you to get that grade. So please don't panic about that. We have to figure this out. So what I would like you to do is go to the website there. It's https ohm.lumenlearning.com. When you get there, I think there will be a button that allows you to enroll in a course as a student. When I go to look at it, I see my side of it. And my account was set up through FSCJ, so I'm not totally sure what you're going to see, but you're going to try to enroll in the course. You will need the course ID. I believe the course ID is going to be 44233 when you're prompted to enter course ID. There's also a prompt for something called an enrollment key. When he demonstrated this for us earlier, he did not put in an enrollment key, he just clicked on through it. So I don't think you need it. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I don't think you do. So please take a moment and try to do this. If you are doing this at home through Duval Homeroom, or if you're watching this video in class, I'm going to post this video onto the Teams page so that you'll be able to look this up later and try from home. But I need you guys to try to do this and see what happens. Then let me know what you see if and when you are able to log in. Do you see a course? Do you see a template with assignments already preloaded, or do you not see anything? And then we will take it from there. Probably I don't want you to do the assignments that are preloaded in Lumen at this time, but I need to see what you guys see when you get in there before I can make a decision about the next thing to do. So that is something I'd like you to work on, and then send me an email, send me a screenshot of what it is that you're seeing. If you're not able to get in, I want to see that too. All right, so that pretty much takes us through this. The next thing we need to talk about is your dual enrollment paperwork. That absolutely has to be filled out, and it has to be turned around, brought back to me ASAP, like the very next time I see you. It has to be filled out in blue and black ink. It has to be printed, it has to be legible, and all parts of it have to be filled out, including parent signatures where you need parent signatures. So there's another PowerPoint that somebody is supposed to give us. And I also have a video that I have put on the Teams channel orienting you with regard to Teams. So that's pretty much going to take care of our first day, and then we will talk about content starting tomorrow.